Good morning, guys. I know it's a chilly day here in South Carolina, but it's got me craving like spring food for some reason. I know we're thinking, well, what could you possibly have in the spring that reminds you of a cold day? Well, it's tomatoes. Tomatoes, the cherry tomatoes. We always think of cherry tomatoes as like a summertime dish because they grow plentiful. Everybody knows I love to garden. So cherry tomatoes is always abundant here for me, but I get the craving for them in the winter time. And yes, we do canning and tomatoes and all that, but just to get that cherry tomato taste is so delicious for me. I love it. So I was trying to think, well, how can I incorporate them besides a salad and all that? So I was starting to look through some recipes and I came up with, let's do a tomato cobbler. So I'm like, well, that's interesting because we do fruit cobblers, we do apple, blueberry, all that, but why not a tomato? So here we are today and we're going to make a tomato cobbler. And I'm excited because I made it a couple days ago, first time ever. So I was really, hi Jackie, how are you? So really simple recipe as well. And you can still get cherry tomatoes in the store right now. They're in any produce section. I happen to like the multicolored ones because I just think they make every dish look pretty. Last year I only grew like the red ones in the garden, but this year I'm going to make a point to get all the colors of the cherry tomatoes. So I went ahead, I have my cooking buddy right down here. He's already looking for a tomato to fall. So this dish is right up his alley. Okay, so this is easy. We can do this right in a cast iron skillet. Hi Wendy, how are you? It's chilly down there in Florida as well, I know, huh? Terrible, girl. Okay, so cast iron skillet. This is going to be perfect for doing this cobbler in it. And I've already started, so you don't even have to grease it or anything like that because we're going to add some olive oil to this. So I'm just going to kind of finish cutting up some of the cherry tomatoes. And it's probably going to work out to be about 4 cups. And I like to cut enough to fill up the bottom, just like you would if you were making like a fruit cobbler. So I also just wanted to tell people, hi Lindsay, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. I just wanted to tell people that ordered my cookbook that I'm very frustrated because I'm getting emails from my printing company telling me that because of COVID and everything, it's been kind of delayed for shipping. So I do want to apologize to the people who have been ordering the cookbook and still haven't gotten it. And I've been trying to keep everybody informed of it and trying to keep on top of it because I really am appreciative of everybody, buying the book. As you know, I've sold over 600 copies, so I'm way beyond grateful. Anything bigger than I ever thought. So I'm actually already working on my second cookbook, and I'm actually going to take some suggestions for a title this time. So if anybody has a title that they think would be good for the next cooking cookbook, let me know. I'm actually set to, I have a meeting, with my publisher, Michelle. I have a meeting with her in February, so we're going to be getting it started again. But I need a title, guys, so maybe you can help me out with that. Hi, Joan. I think we have the same weather right now, Joan. It's very cold here. So, hi, John. How are you? I'm so happy to see everybody. Like, I'm actually with the camera now, so like I can see everybody that talks to me. Okay, enough talking. Okay, so I went ahead and I did 4 cups of cherry tomatoes, and it already looks pretty just in the pan like this. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a shallot. And I actually planted them in my garden this year. I'm really excited about it. I planted them in the fall, so they are growing already. So with all this cold weather and the ice that we had, I had to go out and I had to cover them. I had to get like these frost covers for a garden. It's just been, this weather has just been a disaster. So I'm just lightly chopping this shallot up into tiny diced pieces. And I'm just going to spread it around. And this is just going to give it a little more of a flavor. Not as strong as an onion because it might overpower like a delicate tomato like that. So 1 shallot is perfect. So hopefully my shallots are going to survive the winter here, and I'm going to be able to use my own because I love using my own. Okay, so I have everything in here, all the little shallot pieces. And the next thing I'm going to do is get a little bit of minced garlic. So we're going to go ahead and do just a teaspoon of minced garlic in there. And we're going to just start to mix this around. And of course we have to season everything. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pepper in and a little bit of salt. So I can feel it in my fingers. So I'm thinking it's probably around a teaspoon and a teaspoon. So, and then the last thing I'm going to put in is, we actually make this at the restaurant. It's called Dash of Love. If you can see it here, we sell it. We sell it on our website and we sell it at the restaurant. But it's basically an Italian seasoning. It's got, I see everybody on here. I see Linda and Don, and I see Aunt Lee. Hi, Aunt Lee. Say hi to Uncle Pete for me. I'm so excited to finally be able to see the camera and talk to everybody. But anyway, the Dash of Love is rosemary, it's thyme, it's basil, oregano, all the things that I grow in my garden. So I got a whole bunch of them. And of course I put them in like a little spice grinder or a little coffee bean grinder. And we filled up a whole bunch of jars of these with it. So Dash of Love, that's going to go in here and give it a little, another layer of flavoring. So probably just like a heavy teaspoon, I'm going to say. Okay. Pepe, what you doing over there? All right. And now comes all the good flavor, the extra virgin olive oil. And you can tell by the color that it's extra virgin. It's a nice golden yellow. So I'm just going to go a couple turns around, and now I'm going to mix it right in this. This is exactly the pan that we're going to bake this in as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make that an even coating on everything and kind of flatten it out. And what would a cobbler be without a tomato cobbler without basil? And now if you really wanted to get fancy, you could call this a tomato caprese cobbler, which is what I did nickname it, because anything with caprese in the Italian world is red, white, and green. So we have the tomato, the cheese we're going to use, and the basil. And this basil is not out of my garden, guys. I just didn't have any more. So I had to go to the store and pick up basil, and I'm like, really? But it's not in season for me right now. Okay, and I'm just sprinkling this right over the top as well. So it already looks so pretty. Like, I love it. And it smells great. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is the actual cobbler part. So the cobbler, here, Pepe, here. You want a tomato while we're working with tomato? Here, Pepe. He doesn't like the cold weather. He likes to go outside in the sun, and he likes to like hunt for food, but it's so chilly that he keeps coming back. When I say chilly, it's probably 40, but for him, he don't like it. So he'll go out for 10 minutes, come in, he gets on a pillow, guys, and lays in front of the fireplace. I got a spoiled pig. Okay, the cobbler part. This is just 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I did use self-rising flour the other day, and it worked out just as well. So if you don't, you can use either one. All right, so this is 1.5 cups of self-rising flour. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to season this, because we have to have a seasoned dumpling. So a little salt and pepper again. And then I'm going to put in the Parmesan Reggiano. So this is where the cheese part of it comes in. So I'm just going to, just going to grate this right over this little microplaner. So I'm going to put in about 1/2 cup. And it's going to give these dumplings like a really, really nice, a little bit of a salty, cheesy flavor. The other day I used a mild cheddar, which was just as good. So, but I'm going to keep with the whole Italian theme today. So this is one of the recipes that's going in my cookbook. Anytime you grate cheese, it's like, the aroma is incredible. I love it. All right, so I think I have enough there. Don't you just love Parmesan cheese? Whenever we make the antipastos at work, I just love it, because I always just pop a little cheese in my mouth. Okay, so I've got this going here. I'm just going to mix up my cheese and my flour, salt and pepper. And one more flavoring component I'm going to put in is rosemary. Now this is out of my garden, and this I just got, so I love it. Rosemary has like that piney scent to it. You could actually just, sometimes I take these and I just put them in water, and it makes the kitchen smell really pretty. It almost has like a Christmassy smell, and it has like a very woodsy taste. So, and it also goes very good with tomatoes. Okay, so I'm gonna chop these up pretty fine here because they are a little bit stiff. So if you put them in whole, you would probably find them that you could taste them or feel them when you're eating. So you have to, unless you're boiling down rosemary, you have to chop it kind of fine. And we're just gonna put that right in there. All right, this is completely flavored. So now we just need to put the moisture part of it in. 1 stick of butter. Anytime you're making a dumpling or a biscuit, you need to have butter, because this is the part that when it bakes in the oven, it makes the biscuit go puff. Saturday mornings, my husband is a huge biscuit and gravy man. I never was. I never had it growing up, but he loves it, so I perfected it. I've learned how to make biscuits about 10 different ways, but the best one is when you use cold, cold, cold butter. And yes, I'm still using my French press. I love it. I actually got my wine vendor, Hal, to use it too, so I was excited. I told him about it, and he went to Walmart and he bought one. Okay. Easy way to incorporate your butter into biscuits is to grate it, just like this. And when it's cold like this, like I just took mine out of the freezer. And this way, you want it to stay cold. You want it to stay in those little pieces. So this way, when it bakes, the moisture, the steam from the butter makes the biscuit light and airy. That's the secret. And I have one more secret next after I do this. Yeah, I left the paper on for a little bit just so it's not so messy. And this is just an easier way to mix the butter into the biscuit as well. If you get big chunks like that, it's hard to mix it in. So I'm just going to finish this stick. So it's 1.5 cups of flour, just a little bit of seasoning, whatever you want. If you don't like the rosemary, leave it out. But I'm trying to make this as flavorful as possible. It is 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. You could use the kind that's already in the store. Try to make life easy. And a stick, 1 whole stick of butter. You might think, oh goodness, that's a lot, but it's gonna be so good. They're so buttery on the top. And that's that, guys. We are done. Let me just try to get the little bit of pieces off of the back here. And this is a perfect way to make biscuits because it just mixes up really easy with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and push this around in here and put my butter with it. You could put this in a food processor if you wanted to. You know, you could like, so that it comes up and it would get like a little bit clumpy where you could put it in your hand and it would stick. Or you could just do what I'm doing if you don't want to go ahead and you don't want to go through and clean up a food processor. By all means, manual work is always good. A little exercise with these arms. And then the last thing we're going to put in is buttermilk. And the recipe called for 3/4 of a cup. So right here, just right out of the store, buttermilk. And I'm going to pour that in. Funny story, I guess, my son lives with me, and he's a milk fanatic. He likes anything milk. He'll have chocolate milk, strawberry, anything, right? So when I was experimenting with the biscuits and trying to come up with the best biscuit, I first bought buttermilk, and I didn't tell anybody. Well, he goes into the refrigerator and pours himself a big glass, and I hear like, oh, what is this? And milk is sour, Ma. I said, milk is sour. And I go, oh, no, Tom, you drank the buttermilk. So if you're not used to that in your refrigerator, you might want to put it in a different section than the milk. Okay, done. That's how easy it is. I forgot. I did forget one thing. And now I might have a hard time. Guys, this is what happens when I'm not organized here. I need a heaping teaspoon of baking powder because powder puffs. We all know that. So now I'm going to do my best to work the baking powder. That should have went in when I did the dry ingredients with the flour, right away with the flour and the cheese. But I think it's still good enough where I can mix it in. Okay. Now the easy part, now you could get fancy. I got fancy the other day and I used a little melon baller like this, a little like cookie scoop, and I took them and I put them all over. Well, now that I started, I'm going to finish. I'm going to show you. So I'm just going to take a cookie scoop and put these all over. If you don't have a cookie scoop, you could definitely just take a spoon and do it, or your fingers. I mean, you know, tools. I always say that. So we're just going to go and put them all around the top of this the tomato mixture in here. What are you doing, Pep? I got a new rug in the kitchen here, and he would not step on it. He was afraid of it for days. So I had a really hard time, and I had to coax him. I had to put Cheerios on the rug for him to go on the rug. So he's something special, that's for sure. And now Gracie's out here looking to go out. Okay, so we can really fill this up. It makes a lot of dough. You could certainly make biscuits with the extra if you didn't want to use all of this. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put all these little scoops on the top here. I smell the rosemary. And remember, there's lots of nice cheese in here. Okay, so now you got the gist of it, guys. Like, we'll just finish up the top here with the rest of the dough. And then that's what it should look like. So that's the cobbler. And you know, like when the biscuits, when they're gonna bake, they puff up and they're kind of fill this in, and in between will come up the tomatoes and the cheese, and it's just delicious. It's all gooey, bubbly. Okay, so I'm just breaking up a little bit more basil to put on the top, and I'm just gonna drizzle the olive oil over top of the biscuits, and it goes in the oven at 400 for 20 minutes. Easy, right? One pan and one bowl for the biscuits. So let me show you now. Of course, I have one. I just took it out of the oven. So I have one here. My husband and my son. Oh, thank you. Is that my UPS?
It was up on the porch.
Oh, thank you. I have somebody here actually doing my bathroom for me. He's a great local guy. So he just brought in my Amazon. Okay, this is what it looks like. This is the cobbler. It smells so good, guys. And I'm going to take out a little bit, and I'm going to show you now what it looks like. What it tastes like, actually. Okay, let me see if I can get some. Oh, see the steam coming up? This is great, a little side dish. If you wanted, you know, like on a next to like a nice pasta dish. It's a nice like antipasto that you want to give to some friends and have them taste it if you have some over. See this? Look how delicious this is. There's the little tomatoes all cooked down, and they are nice and soft. And you know, the more that you cook down a tomato, the sweeter it gets. So this is so good. And then I've got some of the biscuit. This is delicious, guys. Who needs a fruit cobbler when you can have a tomato cobbler, right? So good. Even a nice lunch. All right, so even though it's not summertime, we can still use cherry tomatoes. Remember that? I'm gonna finish the rest of this for lunch with my French pressed coffee. And I have a pig and a dog at the door, so that means they've gotta go out. Talk to you guys later.